Welcome! If you didn't check out my last video on pest and disease resistant fruit trees, definitely do. But today what we're going to go over is all the other plants that you put into your food forest and the other 7 layers that are disease and pest resistant for your region, especially if you live in a temperate climate like zone 6 or 7. When I first started my food forest journey, I would watch every video I could find. I would read every article I could find. I would read the books. And everybody gave me the same advice. Plant disease and pest resistant cultivars. Find things that grow well in your region. Find things that do well where you live. But they would never tell me what they were. And so I had to really search hard. I had to experiment. I had to talk to people who are actually growing food forests, and that's kind of hard to find people like that, especially when I first started 6 years ago. So I compiled all that stuff that I've learned and I put it together for this video, and then also the one that we just did, which is for fruit trees. So please, with no further ado, and thank goodness we finally have it all in one spot, here is the expanded pest and disease resistant video on all the things that go in your food forest that aren't fruit trees. At the end, I'm going to give you 2 examples of fruit guilds that you can put together that will encompass everything that you should have if you want it to be pest and disease resistant. So make sure you stick around to the end and I'll give you the formula for 2 really good ones. So starting off with the canopy layer, right? With our canopy, and again, don't plant this in your food forest because this is a jugalone and it's going to exude from its roots a chemical that's going to make all of its competitors or potential competitors not able to grow. But it is highly medicinal and you can eat the fruit if you prepare them correctly. So the black walnut is a great disease and pest resistant plant to grow. And it's a huge canopy layer tree. So put it out somewhere where you don't worry about anything else needing to grow underneath of it. And then when you gather up the fruit, make sure you're wearing gloves because it will stain your hands and your fingers black. The American persimmon is a very good fruit or disease and pest resistant tree as well. So this is a taller growing tree and it can resist almost everything. It is so great to have. And chestnuts, there are disease resistant varieties like the Dunstan. You can get that and then you don't have to worry about any pressure from disease or pests to get those beautiful chestnuts. Okay, I'm going to go over a couple of trees that can go into your food forest, but that's not the focus here. But I do want to hit all 7 layers. So the American pawpaw is a mango banana tasting fruit that is custard-like, and it's like this tropical gift given to us that's native to Virginia and the East Coast. And it is so hardy. It is so resistant to anything pests or disease. You definitely want to have this in your garden, and it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Serviceberry or Juneberries are going to be a lot tougher than your blueberries. If you want to plant your Asian pears, Shinko is a really good one, and I didn't put that in the last video, so I hope you're watching both. Shinko is a very good pear that is resistant to fire blight, and that is a really good thing to have. Mulberry is super hardy, and it's rarely troubled by anything. And if you're worried about the juice staining, then get a white mulberry. They have those. Medlar. Again, this is one that I didn't mention in the last video, so I'm glad you're watching both. Medlar is a tree that you don't often see, and it is very good. It is almost completely disease and pest resistant. Nothing's going to get this. And the fruit almost looks like small pomegranates, and the texture when you eat it is almost like applesauce, but it tastes like spiced applesauce, like cinnamon applesauce. So really, it's the best of all the worlds. I mean, I can't decide if I like that better or the pawpaw, honestly. Let's get into the shrub layer. This is what the video is really more about. So Of the shrubs, honeyberry is going to be one of the greatest ones that you can plant, almost completely disease and pest resistant. I love honeyberry. Some people think it's a required taste. My husband does not like honeyberry. I think it's delicious. And it's also shade resistant, which is really great because when you have canopies, you're going to get shade. So you want to have a berry in your shrub layer that can handle the shade, right? So honeyberry it is. Currants and gooseberries are really good too, and they have specific cultivars, and it will say on there if they are mildew resistant. The black currant currently, I'm having too much fun with this. The black currant is not really suggested to grow in this area because there is a disease that is spreading amongst it from other native trees. Stay away from the black currant, but all the other ones, they have a really good resistance to all of that. Elderberry. Now don't eat the fruit, but it's very good for medicinal qualities. So you want to have that elderberry syrup in the summer or in the fall and the winter, right? When things are starting to, everybody's starting to flu up a little bit or get colds. So elderberry is very vigorous, it's disease resistant, and it's really good for your syrups and stuff like that. Can you hear the critters in the grass? I just love that. Oh, I love where I live. Aronia or chokeberry is highly resistant and very hardy. Black raspberry, it's my favorite. Black raspberry is native and it's really resistant to pests, and it's a lot less disease prone than raspberries are. So if you have to put some raspberries in and you only can put one, put in black raspberries. I would put in all the raspberries. But if you can only put in one, definitely put in the black raspberry. Now, on a side note, wineberry often grows wild here. It's slightly invasive and a lot of people complain about it, but honestly, it's my kids' favorite fruit. They love wineberry, and so I do have some of it in my food forest. But you can go out into the woods and you'll often find wineberry. Make sure it is what it is. Don't eat something you're not 100% sure about, but wineberry is delicious, and it's super pest resistant and disease resistant, even if it is invasive. If you find it, eat it. It's delicious. Your herbaceous level, right? We're going to want to do things like comfrey. Comfrey is highly, you can't hurt comfrey. You just can't. And it's a really big soil builder, so you definitely have to have that in your food forest if you're going to do it. They have a certain Russian cultivar, I think it's Baking 15 or something like that, but it doesn't spread by seed. So if you're worried about it taking over, you can use that. But I've had it in my food forest for 6 years, and I've put it under all my fruit trees, and it is not invasive in my food forest. Maybe I just got lucky. I don't know, but it's wonderful, and it's highly, highly beneficial to have in your food forest. And it's super medicinal, really great for salves. So we're going to be making comfrey salve in the winter. I'll be doing a video on that, and it's my go-to salve that I use for everything. Echinacea is super tough, and it's a pollinator magnet, so you definitely want to have that in your food forest. Yarrow, it's hardy, and it's really good for pollinators. Everything that's in the mint family of herbs, things and herbs like mint, I'm just repeating myself at this point, oregano, thyme, things like that, those are really good. I have mint planted in the ground. I know, don't shoot me, but I have mint planted in the ground in my food forest, and I have a really good handle on it because I put it in a section that is shady, so it's not as vigorous, and there's a lot of other plants there that had been growing already, so it can't choke out seedlings. And I have a pathway that goes around it, and so I can pull out really easily, and or the mulch that I put down chokes out anything that could come up from it. So I've planted it in the ground. It has not been invasive. It's been in there for 6 years. It's fine. Not 6 years, maybe like 5 years. It's fine. But you really want to be careful with it, because if you plant it in a sunny spot that it loves, it will take over everything. In fact, some people use it as a revenge plant. And if they don't like somebody, they'll say, here, plant this in your garden. And then they don't have a garden anymore, they just have a mint patch. Bee balm has edible flowers and it's a pollinator magnet. Feverfew is a pest repellent, just like magnolias. Marigolds, it's going to push those pests away. It's going to deter them from coming in. So it's kind of like a shield against your other plants. And it's medicinal too. So those are 2 beneficials that you're getting from that one. Catmint is beautiful, it's aromatic, and it's pollinator friendly, and it just adds beauty to wherever you are. Lovage is super hardy, pest resilient, disease resistant, and it's edible. It's perennial. It's like celery almost, but softer. Valerian is so good. It's super pollinator friendly. I mean, the bees and the bugs love it. I see so many parasitic wasps on them, which is what you want. You want those in your garden. When it's blooming, it's highly medicinal, and it's really great at being deer resistant too. So if you put that around the border, then you've got kind of like a deer shield. Anise hyssop, edible leaves and flowers, and it's super pollinator friendly. And these, like I said, these are all super pest and disease resistant. These are things that you're going to want in there, and you're not going to have to worry about babying them because they're going to get blight or something like that. Okay, so the ground covers. Strawberries. This is great because most of these ground covers are going to kind of spread out and keep back any weeds that might be popping up in your garden and make it a lot easier for you to manage your food forest, because you won't have as many weeds to weed. They have very disease-resistant varieties, and it will tell you straight out when you find them, this is disease-resistant variety. And as they die back in the fall, you get this living mulch that just kind of keeps regenerating the soil and adding to it. Creeping thyme is aromatic, it's a pest deterrent, and it's super pollinator friendly. Bearberry, or uva ursi, right, is evergreen, it's native, it's pest resistant, disease resistant, and it's got really wildlife friendly berries, and it's very medicinal. Creeping raspberry is also super hardy, and it's this edible ground cover that creeps along the ground, and it's beautiful. I think it's really pretty. Lingonberry is evergreen, and it has tart edible berries, and it's super hardy. Okay, moving on to the root layer, right? We're almost there. So the root layer, we've got things like garlic and onions, which are obviously going to be pest deterrents and pest hardy. Horseradish is awesome as a soil breaker. And then groundnut. Now groundnut is kind of special because it can go into the vine category, and it can go into the tubers and the roots category. Okay, so that's going to bleed into the next category, which is vines. But groundnut is really good for the roots because they're edible, it's a nitrogen fixer, it's hardy, and it's native. Here we are into the vines. So groundnut, like I was saying, it has this beautiful vine that spreads up, and it gets these beautiful flowers. So it's pollinator friendly, it's a nitrogen fixer, you got the tubers and the roots, it's really good. We like groundnut, it's native, happy things. Hardy kiwi is awesome, super hardy. It's a temperate vine. You get great fruit off of it. I like hardy kiwi more than I like fuzzy kiwi. So there you go. Certain grapevines like Mars and Reliance, those are really disease resistant and especially fungal resistant because grapes tend to have a problem with fungus. If you make sure you keep them pruned widely so that they don't get too congested, you want to have a lot of airflow when it comes to grapes. The passion fruit vine, which in our area, the kind that grows is the maypop, and it is delicious. I mean, it's like candy when you eat it, but there's almost no diseases that you have to worry about, and there's almost no pests that bother it. Sometimes Japanese beetles can eat at the leaves, but they don't bother the fruit at all. Okay, so I told you I'd give you some examples of some fruit guilds. So I wrote down 2 great ideas that I think would be awesome guilds and would work really well together to give you everything that you need, right? So we want fruit, edibles, herbs, pollinators, soil builders, nitrogen fixers, all of those wonderful, wonderful things working together, right? So here's my examples. So I've got I grouped it around the medlar tree because it's my favorite and people don't often use it, which is very sad for me. So let's spread awareness for the medlar fruit. If you've had medlar, if you know about medlar, talk about it in the comments because it's amazing. Absolutely incredible. And it's raining, but it's just a light sprinkle. I think my little one's okay. Okay, so center tree would be your medlar, right? You put that in the middle, and then around the base of it, what you're going to plant along the I'm gonna go underneath one of the trees so that we're a little bit drier. My baby doesn't get wet. You're gonna wanna plant things, what am I saying? Oh, the shrubs. You wanna put the shrubs around the drip line of your fruit tree, okay? You don't wanna put them right up against the trunk. You wanna put them along the drip line so they still get sun, and then they also are gonna get good water and not compete with your fruit tree for water. So the shrubs could be currants and elderberry, and this is all disease resistant, right? The herbs could be comfrey, yarrow, oregano, echinacea, and bee balm. How beautiful would that be, right? And you put that on the drip line of the shrubs, right? And then throughout it all, the ground cover would be strawberries, white clover, and creeping raspberry. Roots, you've got garlic and horseradish. Now, horseradish spreads quite a lot, so make sure you put this on the shady side so that inhibits the growth a little bit. And then groundnut, and that groundnut is also going to be part of the vines. And the vines that you can have on there, you could also put like a passion fruit, kiwi, or grapes on a trellis next to it. Now, you're not going to want to put these vines on the medlar tree. The medlar doesn't get very big. It's not going to be able to support a full kiwi vine. Also, you need 2 kiwi vines. You need a male and a female in order to get the pollination. But if you have a trellis right next to it, put a trellis next to your fruit tree, put a bench under it, and then have all those growing together, and you have so much food. I mean, look at this. You've got the medlar fruit, you've got the elderberry and the currants, you've got herbs that you can use to cook with, oregano, right, and bee balm. We're going to talk about bee balm later in a different medicinal one. And then you've got your strawberries and the raspberries that are creeping along the ground, right? And you've got the garlic and the horseradish and the groundnut that you can eat. And then whatever vine that you decide to plant, right? So kiwis or grapes or passion fruit. All of that in a very compact area because it's all surrounding the one fruit tree, right? So this is a very, it's not going to take up a lot of room. But if you want a super compact guild for your fruit tree, your medlar, right? So you can plant the medlar, plant one shrub around it, and let's say you plant a currant, right? I would suggest white or pink. Red is really good, but white and pink I think are sweeter. The herbs that you put around it could be oregano or yarrow or thyme. And then the ground covers, you could put strawberries and white clover. The roots, you could put garlic, and then you could put a groundnut. And that groundnut vine is a very gentle vine, and that can grow up your tree if you want. And then if you want to put a small trellis there, then you can put, let's say, some grapes or something like that. And that's going to be a really, really compact fruit guild. And you could put that in just like the little corner of your garden or your yard. And it wouldn't take up a whole lot of space, but you're getting so much food off of that. So much food. So those are examples. And really what you do when you want to build a guild is you just pick different plants that fit each category. You want a pest deterrent. You want a fruit edible herb. You want something that's going to build the soil like comfrey, a nitrogen fixer like groundnut, and you're going to want a pollinator and a pest deterrent like garlic. So find something that fills multiple roles, or you can just plant all of them, right? A bunch of different ones. But if you find something like a groundnut that's a vine, a pollinator, nitrogen fixer, and a tuber, I mean, that's filling 4 roles right there of your food forest. I mean, that's awesome. Okay, so anyway, that's those guilds that I had as an example if you want them. If you go and look underneath in the comments or in the description below, you can click on the link and you can become a member, and I will have all of this written out and laid out for you in a download. And the download you can find on the community page, and it's for members only, just as a thank you for supporting our homestead and our lifestyle here and helping to get this channel to grow, and for more information to be spread about wonderful permaculture and food forests and gardening and homesteading and stuff like that. We really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe so you can see the rest of the videos on food forests. And after we get done with our food forest series, we're going to do a medicinal apothecary series. So that's going to be fun too, something to look forward to. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.